Hey guys, greetings. So this video is about getting caught up in the words. The words of anybody, myself, teachers of various sorts out there on YouTube, Zen texts, Buddhist texts, the Bible. And how it's really easy to get caught up in sayings or how something's supposed to be said, how something's supposed to be done exactly. If you're saying this, you mean that, and if you mean that, you're wrong. And this can just be a very alluring thing for some. I've been caught up in it before. Just to get lost in. And it's kind of fun. I mean, ultimately it's okay in some degree. But underneath the words, I guess you could say, there's something deeper that hopefully hits you. That requires perhaps self-investigation or looking into the pointer of where words are pointing. And I know I'm being very broad. I'm addressing pretty much every religion or every pointer in a broad sense. But I can tell you it's not ultimately in any of the words. See, what one finds out in self-discovery is there's ultimately just what is. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a word and a saying. Or there's ultimately just an energy source, which isn't made up of energy, that is ultimately everything. And one of the exuding qualities of this is love and spaciousness, consciousness. But it's not ultimately any of those in particular. And of course you're going to see those things through the filter of your understanding of words until you penetrate words and knowledge and perhaps what is labeled as experience itself. Even though experience never necessarily goes away, but perhaps experience attached to a belief system or a belief of who you are or a belief of a particular point in which you arise. Of course, the you arising is associated with a belief system. But ultimately, all belief systems at the root aren't even belief systems. Mind is ultimately not mind. Ego is ultimately not ego. God is not ultimately God. These are just, again, words and understandings of what's happening. The what being everything, the what being nothing. Again, everything and nothing are concepts which ultimately aren't anything. You could say it's concepts from what is. The what being a non-energy, a non-nothing, a non-non. it's not really something ultimately that can be described, and yet descriptions are pointers towards something that can't be described. And again, I don't think I said it, but this isn't a video about gaining anything in particular, any kind of knowledge that you will use for something. Because if this is fully understood in a sense that is not about someone understanding something, there's not a gain or a loss that could or ever has happened or will happen. Because this is so again, if you ever find yourself arguing about your knowledge, just recognize that. And slowly stop. Unless maybe you feel like it's helpful to yourself. Now, if you made it this far, you're probably really interested in this stuff. So I'll say this piece of information that may be useful for those who have made it this far. If you find yourself arguing about your information or trying to correct others, ask yourself, is this stuff that you think you know really true? Is it a defense mechanism? Is it something that you feel like you possess that protects you from others proving you wrong or seeing something about yourself that you don't want others to see? Because often, I know this from my own experience, this information is often like a little protective weapon in a pocket that you sometimes pull out and brandish to show that you know something, or to use in instances that make you feel uncomfortable about another person maybe pointing something to you that you don't want to look at or you're uncomfortable with. So this information called truth or spirituality or understanding is just a way to not really be comfortable with everything. And part of that is like these belief systems that may be existing that are traumatic or are painful or just areas that you haven't come to a resolution of, or you haven't really, so to say, seen into the ultimate reality of what it is. And as such, your spiritual knowledge is a defense mechanism to prevent you from going into it. And the it that you're ultimately going into is ultimately, you could say, an illusion. But spiritual knowledge at this point for you is a gun of protection from yourself, a gun of protection which you use on so-called others to not look at what you're ultimately uncomfortable with. Because I see this, as I said, in myself And I see this in others on forum posts who use certain kinds of sayings or spiritual not being there, spiritual ultimately I'm not here, to not look at something that they themselves have not looked at. And as the result, you project, or they project, knowledge or claim self-understanding, which probably has some truth, as a way to just be like, hey, this isn't actually going on. So I just threw that in there for the people who, I don't know, who are interested enough to make it to this far in the video, and as such can probably relate and are ready to maybe look at some of the things that have not been looked at. Alright, I hope this video served you well, and hope you all have a good day. Take care. Bye.